everyone, it's Mallory. Today I'm going to talk about relation advice in this vlog. I wanted to talk about something that most of us have experienced at some point or another in our lives, whether it was adolescence or adulthood. Um, when you have a group of friends, maybe they stop texting as much, their messages get shorter in response, or maybe they start canceling their plans. It is really easy to immediately think, what did I do wrong? And are they mad at me? Or did they not want to be friends anymore? But sometimes we think that this is happening because it's something we did. And that isn't always the case. Today I'm going to talk about a situation between two of my friends, Emma and Sarah, and I'll explain the context, emotions, self-disclosure, and active listening that could have helped them understand each other and kind of resolve the situation. So, Emma and Sarah were close friends for several years. Normally, they would talk every day, call each other, text. Recently, Emma has had a lot going on in her life. She's trying to balance work, she's balancing her school, as well as her home responsibilities with her children. She's stressed, she's tired, and she's overwhelmed. Because of that, she isn't responding to our group texts and Sarah individually as much as she would have probably liked. She starts with her response being shorter, then canceling a few plans here or there. And Sarah starts noticing this change. She starts thinking Emma is upset with her. Eventually, Sarah confronts Emma and tells her that she feels ignored. Emma gets on the defensive because she feels like she's being criticized when she's already overwhelmed, adding more to her plate. Now both friends are upset with themselves, with each other. And instead of listening to each other, they're both trying to defend themselves. You might think, what should they do? What should I do in that situation? Well, my first piece of advice is don't automatically assume everyone's behavior is about you. According to McConaughey and Morris in the reflection and relationship of our perception influence how we intercept communication. Sarah sees Emma's short text messages and canceling plans and thinks, oh, Emma doesn't care about being my friend anymore. But Sarah's perception is Emma really is different. Emma thinks, I'm exhausted. I have too much going on. And that's why context is important. Sarah doesn't know everything that's happening in Emma's life. Instead of assuming Emma is angry, she could simply ask, hey, I've noticed you've been a little quiet lately. Is everything okay? That question opens up opportunity for Emma to explain herself. Emma also has some responsibilities. She knows she's overwhelmed, but Sarah doesn't know that. Emma hasn't told her. This is self-disclosure, and this is why it becomes important. Emma doesn't have to explain every personal detail that's going on in her life. She simply could say, hey, I've been overwhelmed lately. I'm really sorry that I've been distant. That has nothing to do with you. That one statement could clear up a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication. Sometimes we expect people who are close to us to know how we are feeling, but even the people who know us can't read our minds. So we need to communicate. Another problem is that both friends have become emotional. Sarah feels hurt. Emma feels frustrated. At once, they're both upset and they both stop listening. Instead, they start defending themselves. Having emotions isn't wrong, it's part of being human, but we need to recognize when our emotion is affecting the way that we communicate. If conversation starts becoming an argument, it's okay to pause. You could say, I'm getting frustrated. I don't know what to say, and I don't mean it in a bad way. We can talk a few minutes and then come back to this. Taking a break doesn't mean you're avoiding the problem. Sometimes giving both people a chance to calm down, you will have a better conversation. My one big piece of advice for Emma and Sarah would be to listen to each other and try to understand, not respond. A study by Wagner and his colleagues in 2014 looked at active listening and found that active listening can help people feel more understood during a conversation. One simple strategy is paraphrasing, basically repeating what you think the other person is saying, but in your own words. For example, Sarah could have said, "So what I'm hearing is that you're overwhelmed and you weren't intentionally avoiding me, right?" Emma could have responded with, "It sounds like I've stopped texting you as much. You felt like I didn't care about our friendship." Now they are listening. They're also giving each other a chance to correct the misunderstanding and the miscommunication. And something important to remember. Understanding someone doesn't mean that you have to agree with them. It simply means making an effort to understand their point of view. So if Emma and Sarah came to me for advice on this situation, I would give them my 5 simple recommendations. Number 1 is to ask before assuming. If someone's behavior changes, and you ask what happened instead of immediately assuming, that can be a big difference in that communication and that conversation. My number 2 is explain how you feel without blaming other people. Instead of saying, "You never make time for me," try saying, "I feel disconnected lately," and "I miss talking to you." Number 3 is communicate when you are struggling. Don't expect someone else to automatically know what's happening in your life. You need to give them a bit more context in what's going on. Number 4 is put distance away and actively listen. When the person gets your attention and you can actively listen. Number 5, make sure you understand before you respond. You can simply say, "So what I'm hearing is," and then let other people tell you whether you understood correctly. So what I can relate to you guys from what I learned from Emma and Sarah is that sometimes communication problems aren't caused by someone intentionally doing something wrong. Sometimes we're missing full context or pieces of the puzzle. Sometimes our emotions affect the way that we intercept someone's behavior. And sometimes we're too busy thinking about what's going on and what we're going to say next that we aren't actively listening. McCormick and Morris show us how perception and context affect communication. And Wagner and his colleagues show us how active listening can help people feel understood. So the next time someone close to you feels distance, ask a question, listen, and clarify. And then you can respond. Do not assume and do not make assumptions that could later turn into a bigger problem when an honest conversation might have cleared everything up. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.